Morning everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new day. It is Thursday morning and look what we have. We have snow. Probably anywhere from 3 to 4 inches. Yesterday, as I said, it was super windy and then it started raining and then it turned to sleet. Then it turned to hail and then it turned to snow during the night. When I took Gypsy out last night about 10:30, it was big flakes and snowing. So, and it was already accumulating at that time, but it was hardly anything yet. But overnight it must have snowed quite a bit. So, and there we have another early spring snowstorm. So I've got the truck running to heat it up. The wind is starting to pick up. And it's food pantry day, so I don't know if they're quite open yet, but they are open till noon usually. So as soon as I get this taken care of, I'll give her a text and see if she's open, and then I'll go. So alright, so I'm gonna work on getting all this cleaned up so I can get going. Hey everyone, so I'm heading to the pantry now. It's 10:30, so I got to get going. It's open. It closes at 11, so I'll talk while I'm driving. All right, everyone. So off to the pantry. It's 10:30. Normally, I usually go at 9. That's the time I used to go, but as you can see, we got snowfall overnight. This is all new. Everything you see for snow is all new stuff from just last night. The last time I was driving and there was snow on the ground, that had all melted away. And so everything on the ground right now is very new from last night. So yeah. In some spots it was like up to like 3 or 4 inches because we had just like blowing snow and everything. And it's wet and heavy. So I shoveled the front of the driveway and the sides of the truck. Just what I needed to right now. So I can get out of there and go to the pantry. We just quick ate McDonald's for breakfast. I was in a hurry. So yeah, Glenn felt like having a steak bagel from McDonald's, and I didn't have time to make anything, so I just went to McDonald's and got us a breakfast. And then we quick ate. The pantry closes in like 25 minutes. I don't think this snow is going to stick around long though. It's already starting to melt. The trees were absolutely beautiful this morning, but it's starting to melt off the trees as well. So let me know in the comments, did you get snow where you guys are at? Fresh snow overnight in the last day? Yeah, drop that down in the comments. I didn't think we were going to get this much though. When I took Gypsy out last night about 10:30, I think I mentioned this already, it was snowing and the flakes were big and it was just beautiful. But my mind is in spring mode now, so I don't want any more. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not beautiful. Fresh falling snow, absolutely beautiful. But I don't want any more snowfall this season. right, so I'm going to pick up with you guys in just a little bit, and then I know I said last night was going to be story time. So I'll pick up with you guys in just a little bit, and then it'll be story time. All right, everyone. So the story I was going to tell you, some of you may already know, and because some of you have been with the channel for a long time, and I have mentioned these details about my life, but there's a lot of new viewers that may not have gone back to watch previous videos, older videos. There's a lot of videos to go back through, so a few videos ago, I told you about how I traveled the country working on the road. So this story is, I'm going to tell you how I ended up doing that, how I got to travel the country and work on the road and make some money. I guess this is, if you already know this, then this story time probably isn't going to be anything new for you. But so how I came to work on the road was, it started off as I was homeless. I lived in my car in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it was winter time and cold. I know a lot of people say, well, it's California, it's not cold, but it gets cold there. You get the ocean cold there. So I was homeless, and me and my sister were living in my car. And the reason I came to be homeless is not something I'm going to talk about, but it had nothing to do with a relationship. Well, and somewhat. I guess, I guess I'll just tell you how I became homeless. So I was in a relationship back then, living in San Diego in Oceanside, California. And my mom and dad were in the Central Valley, I believe. I don't remember how it went, honestly. But I ended up moving from where I was in Oceanside, California, to the Central Valley of California in Modesto, and where my parents were. My mom was sick, and she had surgery, and she was sick, and my dad was taking care of her at the time, but still trying to work. And they didn't have a reliable vehicle or anything, so I left. My ex at the time, we agreed that, it'd be okay if I went there to help my mom and dad out, because I wanted to help them out. And so I went to stay with my mom and dad so I could help them out, give my dad rides. Their car often broke down, so I often took them to work and things like that, but helped my mom out. And they wanted to move back to the Bay Area. They lived in Modesto, which is in Central Valley, but we originally grew up in the Bay Area, so my mom really wanted to go back. So they gave up their apartment, and so after they gave up the apartment, they went to stay with friends in the Bay Area, and I didn't have a place to stay. me or my sister. So we ended up living in my car. And so I had no address or anything. I did like daily jobs. I tried to do like daily jobs, but with no address. And back then it was, I don't know. But nonetheless, that's how I became homeless. And we're talking late October, November time frame that this started. And so when the holidays came around, Thanksgiving, me and my sister, we were sleeping in my car, and my heat wasn't working. And so it was very cold. I had to drive around a little while for the heat to get going. And so on Thanksgiving morning, we slept in my car. We parked right outside where my mom and dad were staying by the house. And I remember waking up and my knees were just aching so bad from the cold. And my mom and dad were invited to go to some friend's house for Thanksgiving, and they said we can go and have dinner and take showers and things like that. What homeless people need to do. So we did. We went there. We took hot showers and we ate a Thanksgiving dinner, and we were very grateful that they invited me and my sister over. And so later on in the day at Thanksgiving, we left, and she sent us with some food to eat. But Thanksgiving night, my sister had 2 kids, and her kids lived with their father, and he lived with his mother. So she wanted to go see her kids, so we went to her kids, where her kids were living, and we spent some time there. And the kids' grandmother said we could spend the night, so we had a place to, sleep overnight. And so we stayed the night there, and they gave us some pumpkin pie and asked them if we wanted anything to eat, and they were very kind to us. And we watched Home Alone that night. And I remember my 2 nephews. I had one nephew on each arm cuddling with me, and we were watching Home Alone. And every Christmas you'll hear me say Home Alone has meaning to me, not because, of a great movie or anything, but because of that night on Thanksgiving, cuddling with my nephews, having a place to sleep for the night. That's why that movie means something to me. So every time I watch Home Alone, I think about that night. And that night I cuddled with my nephews, but more so I think about now when I watch Home Alone, I have a home of my own. And that alone is so breathtaking to me. That after all I've been through, I have a home of my own now. So I can sit and watch Home Alone every season and think to myself, I'm sitting in my own home now. So yeah, I just wanted to share that part. We're almost there, so I think I'm going to pick this up when we come out of the pantry. But I wanted you guys to see the fresh snowfall as well. Just in time, because the pantry closes in 10 minutes. Alright guys, I will be back. Alright everyone, so I'm in and out of the food pantry, made it just in time, and I'll share the haul with you and see what meals we're going to use stuff for. So I will see you guys back at home. No, I won't see, well, I will see you at home, but I'll continue on with my story. So, alright, so let's take a ride home. So picking up where I left off, we left off with why the movie Home Alone means something to me. So now we continue on. You know, Thanksgiving's over. It's the next morning. We get back in my car, and every night it was pretty much just trying to find a spot to park. Sometimes my sister's friends would let us park outside their house or apartment or whatever, and sometimes they would let us stay there. But if not, we just found somewhere to park and slept in the car. So during the day, I remember one time during the day just trying to make some money, and when my mom had surgery, my mom grew up, or I grew up with my mom having multiple surgeries throughout my life. And so one of the last surgeries she had was for her brain aneurysm. Thank God that they caught it before it burst, but they just happened to catch it because she was having a lot of headaches, and the brain aneurysm had nothing to do with it. But when they took a CAT scan or whatever they do, you know, they saw the brain aneurysm. So in a sense, it was a blessing that she was having so much headaches, because they caught the brain aneurysm before it bursted. So anyway, we go through all that. But when we were homeless, I went to my mom's doctor's office and asked if he needed help with paperwork or anything. I just let him know, I'm just looking to make a little bit of money and just wanted to see if he needed help with paperwork. And it just so happened he had something going on where he had a bunch of flyers to make, or a bunch of papers to print out and send out, to mail out. So, I mean, he had his assistant and everything, but I think he just made it a point to leave some work for me. I think it was being nice that way, and I'm grateful for it. But he had me print out a bunch of letters and stuff them in envelopes and mail them out. I mean, it was like a couple days worth of work, and I worked. I did that for 2 days for like. It wasn't like full 8-hour days, but he paid me cash, and he gave me way more than what the work was worth. And I think he knew it. I'm sure he knew it, but he was just trying to help out, I'm sure. So it was enough that I could get us a motel room for the night and get some food. Now, had I known back then, we're talking 1990 something, mid to late 90s. I think at this point we're still in the midpoint of the 90s. And but had I known then what I know now about car camping and truck camping and van life and all that, I would have made it work. But back then, it was what it was, I had a 1988 Ford Escort, so even that was coming to a end of life on its own. But at the time it was working, and it was something that we could sleep in. But because I had a car to sleep in, I felt like I was lucky because I could sleep in a car and didn't have to sleep outside. So, you know, every day by day goes on, and there was I think one night we spent the night at my brother's and sister-in-law's house, and then but we lived homeless, you know. It's during the days, like I would go park at a park and walk the trails and things like that. Just you pass the time, you find ways to pass the time. And sometimes I would go to those job places, those temp job places that give you like one-day jobs and they pay you the same day. Sometimes I would do that, but it was hard, like when you didn't have an address. And back then we weren't really you know, knowledgeable on like P.O. boxes and things like that. So day by day goes, we live how we were living in the car. And my sister, I don't know if she was dating somebody at the time. She was going out with this guy, and he actually was working for this company that they traveled around the country, and he happened to be doing some work in the area we lived in, so they were, you know, seeing each other, whatever. But he ended up getting my sister a job doing that. So as we were still living in the car, homeless, she got hired onto the company, and he had to leave for another job. He went to Idaho, I believe it was. And so he was working a job in Idaho, and through whatever process, he ended up getting her hired. And she ended up getting on a Greyhound bus to go to Idaho to join him. And then it was just me living in the car. So I took her to the Greyhound, and we said our goodbyes. And so she said, I'm going to try to get you hired on too. And so she left, and then I was just living in the car by myself. So now we're into December now, and my birthday was coming up, and Christmas was coming up, and I didn't know what was going to be. I didn't know what the future was going to be for me. So my brother let me stay the night at his house once. And I think it was the night before my birthday or the day of my birthday. I think it might have been the night of. But I got a call from my sister and her boyfriend in Idaho, and he didn't get me hired on at that point, but he said that it would be okay if I came and stayed with them and traveled with them until he could get me hired on. So the morning of my birthday, they bought a Greyhound ticket for me, And they were no longer in Idaho. They were going to be in Boulder, Colorado by the time I got there. I think, yeah, they had since left Idaho and went to Boulder, Colorado. And they bought a ticket for me to get on the Greyhound bus and meet them in Boulder, Colorado. So on the day of my birthday, I got on a Greyhound bus and went to Boulder, Colorado to stay with them in a hotel. And so I'm sure it didn't exactly go that way because, you know, I knew, no, I'm thinking of, okay, so I'm trying to think of the exact things, but you get the picture. Yeah, on the morning of my birthday, they bought me a ticket, and in the afternoon, I left for Boulder, Colorado. You know, I went to go see my mom and dad, and, you know, say our goodbyes, but we never said goodbye. We always said see you later, you know. So that was hard, even though it meant I was gonna have a place to stay. It was still hard to leave my mom and dad. So I'm on the Greyhound bus now, and one of my sister's friends took me to the Greyhound bus station. I had since, I don't know if I gave my car to my dad, but I think I junked it for a little bit of money because it was to the point where it wasn't passing the smog test, and tags were expired, and so yeah, it was to that point. It was time to get rid of the car. It would have just caused my dad more headaches. So I junked it for a little bit of money to take with me. And I got on the Greyhound bus, and I felt such a relief to not have to continue to search for a place to sleep, or if my car was going to even work anymore. If I was still living on the streets and my car wasn't working anymore, I don't know what I would have done. So I guess you could say her boyfriend saved our lives. And so in a couple days I arrived in Boulder, Colorado, and I think it was nighttime when I arrived there. And I remember it was super cold. It was like 2 below zero or something, and I was freezing. And so they met me there, obviously, and we went to go eat at a restaurant, and they paid for my food and let me stay with them. And so now we're getting closer to Christmas time, and so he went home. He was from New York, and he went home for Christmas, and me and my sister stayed in the motel. And that's where Christmas Day, we walked to the theater, and we saw Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that is why that movie has meaning to me. I love the two movies. They're funny and they're good movies, but they have meaning to me for different reasons. So yeah, we watched Jingle All the Way on Christmas Day, and then we went back to the hotel or motel, and we ordered Mountain Mike's Pizza, I think it was, and we just hung out. And you know, we spent more time in Boulder. He came back after the holidays, so me and my sister stayed in the motel till after New Year, I think. And then he said, okay, now we're gonna now that the holidays are over, we're going to get you hired on. So he made the call to the company, got the process started, took me for a urinalysis. I mean, he took me everywhere. They bought my food, so I was so grateful for that. And I was going through the process of getting hired, and then the day comes and they called them and said, send her on her way. She's hired. So I had a job. He got me a job working on the road, and so they drove me to my first job site because it was on their way to their next job site. And my first job site was in Kansas. And that was the Army recruiting or Army office that we cabled up. But yeah, I was there in Kansas for like a month. But that's how I came to be going from homeless to traveling the country, making money. He got me hired, and I'll never forget that. I don't know where he is now or don't have contact, but I'll always remember that. And it saved my life and saved my sister's life, although she didn't learn anything from our troubles, and she ended up back in the same situation after they broke up. But they were still together for a while when I was in Pennsylvania, but that's a story for another time. But I just wanted to tell you how I ended up going from homeless to working on the road. All right, everyone, so I am home now, and I hope you enjoyed that story and learned a little bit more about me and my past. And the takeaway from that is you always learn from your past experiences. That made me a stronger person, and it taught me not to take anything for granted. So that experience in that part of my life made me stronger, and just, yeah. So now you know that part of my life. All right, so I'm going to head in now, and I'll make the afternoon pantry. And then, so yeah, I will see you guys in a bit. I hope you enjoyed the story. All right, everyone, so I am in the house now, so let's go over what we received from our morning food pantry. For our meat, we got this ground beef, and this is a 10-ounce pack. I remember these from the time where I was going to the pantry before. They had a bunch of these. I think they're like samples. So yeah, there's a 10-ounce pack of ground beef and a pack of sausage links. Glenn actually did like to eat these. I think we have 2 or 3 left from the last pack. But yeah, he eats these with either pancakes or waffles or something like that. And then there was some dog treats and dog food there. You got that. And then we just used a pound of spaghetti in our spaghetti casserole. So we just got a pound back. So we got some spaghetti and a jar of pasta sauce. For canned goods, we got cream of mushroom and 1 tomato soup. And then we also picked up green beans and sliced peaches. Got 2 cans of tuna. And a can of sweet corn. A can of tomato sauce, which makes up for the one I just used in the casserole as well. And then a can of tomato paste. So those are the canned goods. Also got 4 of these miniature size raisins, sun-made raisins. And the reason I got these is because somebody made mention on my raisin and spice oatmeal that a couple people actually said they put extra raisins in it. So when I saw these, I'm like, yeah, I could use them for my oatmeal. Even if it's not that oatmeal, it could be this oatmeal. So got this big thing. It's 42 ounce, a 2 pound, 10 ounce container of Quaker Oats quick 1 minute oatmeal. Besides that raisin and spice that I just picked up, it's been a long time since I had oatmeal. And I also like to make oatmeal raisin cookies, which I haven't done in a few years. So I can use that for that as well. So, and I can put my own raisins in there. All right, so I got that big container of oatmeal. And got another pack of these underpads. Again, they come in use for those of you that know what it's like when you have disability and you just need these kind of things. So got another pack of those. All right, so that is everything we picked up from the morning pantry. I'll be going this afternoon, but I think I'm going to stop the video here for the morning video, and the afternoon pantry will be later tonight. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this part of the video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. I appreciate all of you and the support you give my channel. And with that, remember to live life, be good to yourself, and be good to others. Until next time.